だったらその殺気を引っ込めてくれねえか。ここでやろうってんなら別に構わねえけどな。
What's up, people? This is Tia Depp back with another video. I guess I fulfilled my promise and came back after I said I was going to try to come back. As you can see in this video, is basically some recorded footage of me driving. I think, if I remember correctly, this is the Yokosuka area. Now and then me and my family like to go to Yokosuka and do various things. At one point there was a burger shop that I would like to stop by every time we go to that area, but I think they changed it, and whatever they changed it to is not the same, so sucks there. We also wanted to go there recently. I think it was the Yokosuka base, but we wanted to go to one of those bases for a festival, but apparently due to the shutdown that was canceled too. So, and you know, for some reason my wife was pissed at me for it, like I did something about it, like I could do something about it. Like, what did I do? I don't know what to do. I don't run the government. That's the Congress and the president. That's nothing to do with me. But, you know, it is what it is. We'll find another time to go. Because actually, we just really want to go there. I really wanted to go there just to eat some Popeyes. Even though they don't normally have a variety of things there. But, you know, it's fine. Because I'm kind of trying to make my own version of popcorn shrimp and chicken tenders. Hopefully, I'll be successful and I don't really have to worry about Popeyes anymore, but you know, we'll see. But going to the main topic, what are we talking about today? This is something that people, especially if you're foreign residents, have been talking about as of late. And what is it that we're talking about? So apparently there's been some kind of leak information that the government is going to hike up the visa fee and renewal. This year, the visa fee was basically raised from 4,000 yen to 6,000 yen, which is not that bad. Apparently, I keep saying, maybe I haven't said too much in this video, but Japan is becoming poor and they need some funds somewhere. Japan is becoming poor all over. The government, the overall economy, the citizens, including the foreign residents here. Yeah, it's struggle. It's a big struggle. Maybe not quite like for, say, the US yet, because with the US, even though you technically can earn more money, the cost is also ridiculously high. But because in Japan the wage hasn't been basically increased at all. I think only been increased maybe 1 or 2 times this year, about 50 yen each. I'm sorry, distraction. Well, anyway, like I said, because the prices haven't been going up too much, the cost of living overall isn't as bad as the U.S., but because the wages has been almost stagnant, maybe about 100 yen, it's been a struggle. And then there's all these other things that keep going up, like rice. Rice went double, basically. It went double, and it hasn't really gone down. Increase of rent is going up, especially the closer you are to big cities. Buying houses is going up, like for very extremely high prices. You can only get this small little thin house, and you see that a lot now. Basically, they're tearing down these what's moderate size houses and then making 2 or 3 houses for people to either rent or buy. And the prices of one of those more miniature houses now is the price of how that original house would have been priced about maybe 5-10 years ago, perhaps. But anyway, yeah, so the government needs money, and with that 20,000 yen, not 20,000, with that 2,000 yen raise, that wasn't that bad. Well, recently there's been information that they're going to raise it again, and it's not going to be just another 2,000 yen raise. Oh, it's going to be a lot more than that. They are proposing, and there hasn't been any kind of bill placed out yet for them to vote on, and so on and so forth. But basically, they're in talks of raising the visa fees and the renewals up to 30 or 40,000 yen. That's right, 30 or 40,000 yen. We was talking about 4,000 and 6,000 before, and now they want to raise it to 30 or 40,000 yen. Now, I want to get this out of the way first, because there's a lot of people who don't live in Japan. Some may not even have visited, but there are some that have visited, and they're saying, well, they could hack it. That's not that bad. That's only what? That's about maybe a couple $100. Well, let me backtrack before I even go to this point. Because I want to reiterate this thing about currency and how other people view currency compared to how foreigners living in Japan earning yen sees the currency, especially those who coming from the US or the UK, even Australia, and so on and so forth. Because a lot of people who live in countries where their currency is a much higher value than the Japanese yen, they don't see a problem, because they're not basing their living on yen. They're basing their living on their own currency. So I want to break this down first, and we're going to start with something I kind of explained before, and I'm going to explain it again. Let's just pretend, this is not reality, but let's pretend that the yen and the dollar is of equal value. So that would mean that $1 would be 100 yen. $1,000 would be, my bad. 100 yen would be $1. 1,000 yen would be $10. 10,000 yen would be $100. 100,000 yen would be $1,000. That would be if the yen and the US dollar were equal. All you have to do is the first two zeros, after the first two zeros of the yen, put a dot there, and then you could kind of picture how much that would be in US dollars if the yen and the US dollar were of equal value. But back to reality, it's not. Apparently, the yen is what? The dollar, no. Yes. The yen is 150 to the dollar. So every dollar now is about 150 yen. So that basically means the US dollar is 150 yen. $1 is 150 yen. $10 is 1,500 yen. $100 is 15,000 yen. $1,000 is 150,000 yen. Now, foreigners don't care about that. No, let me backtrack. Foreigners who don't live in Japan and it's not earning yen do not care about that. All they care about is what that compares to within their currency that they're earning. But that's not what most Japanese foreign residents see it as. We're earning yen. So, let's say I'm in America, right? I come from America. I'm an American. As long as I'm earning yen, that 100 yen is $1 to me. That 1,000 yen is $10 to me. That 10,000 yen is $100 to me. And we could go on and on and on. That is how people earning yen sees it. We don't care too much. In most cases. In some cases I do. Like when I'm getting my tax or something from the US. Because, I have dependents and so forth. Then I get some credit. Then I care. But for the majority of the time, me and most foreign residents in Japan do not care about that comparison. I maybe some of you are confused because you watch a lot of YouTubers who basically calculate it for you to comprehend. But and maybe that's also because if they're big enough, they're earning YouTube money, which comes in US currency. But as we are earning more yen, we don't think that way. I don't care what anyone tells you, we do not think that way. So let's going back to the raise of the visa fees. They're talking about raising it to about 30,000 or 40,000 every fee or renewal. That's $300, $400. So let's put that in perspective. When I first came to Japan, for about 2 or 3 years, I had to renew every year. So that would means that I would have to pay $300 to $400 in my eyes, in my view, because I'm earning in every year. Maybe eventually I get lucky and I could get a 3-year visa. Then it's less than that. I mean, and then I'll have to pay less often. But that's still a lot of money. And then as far as I hear, the permanent visa is about, it's been raised to 100,000 yen, which is about $1,000 if it was equal, but I guess it's more. So let's say $700-800. But to us, like I said, it would be 100,000 yen. So it's $1,000 to us. Even then, like permanent residency, and maybe I don't got my facts straight, but if you have to well, it's not technically a renewal with the permanent residency, but let's say you have to go back and you have to update it. If that counts as some kind of renewal or so on and so forth, that means every 7 years you have to pay that 100,000 yen. Now, I hope that's not the case and it doesn't count as a renewal, but everything isn't really clear yet. Like I said, this isn't anything that's been put on the table for the government to pass yet. So this is all just speculative. All right. But yeah, that's the situation, and a lot of foreign residents is pretty angry about it. Because like I said, most of us don't receive raises that much, like that. We're not getting paid like that. Just like the Japanese, our wages have been pretty stagnant. In some cases, we're earning less. You got people, like you have recently a lot of Indians and stuff working like kombini jobs. I don't think they're getting paid that much. So how are they going to afford 40,000 yen visa fee and renewal, however frequently they have to renew it? I don't know. It's kind of a lot of money. So yeah, a lot of people are angry about that. And like I said, it's not just third worlders. This is also first worlders too, who are basing how they're gonna how are they gonna conduct their cost of living based off Japanese yen. Now, the argument to the government is that, well, the US and the UK, their visa fees are very exorbitant. It's also about $400, $500, $6, and I guess for whatever permanent residency equivalents like the U.S. green card, it's about over $1,000. So if the U.S. and the U.K. and other countries are that expensive, well, why can't we raise ours to be somewhat as expensive? And I guess that's a good point. But some will argue, like myself, that Japan is not the US. Japan is not the UK. Like, let's break it down. Most people immigrating, if they could, and if they had a choice, do you think they would pick the US? Especially financially speaking. Do you think they will pick the US the UK, or Japan? I would say the US. Why? We've seen how far the US can go, especially with the Democrats, especially with the Biden administration, and especially in blue states such as New York or Chicago. First off, on a federal, there are immigrant grants you can receive. First time coming in, I know the U.S. government will help you out in some limitation. And if it was just that would be great. But also, let's say, for example, Chicago and New York City. Shoot, they was giving out business loans. From what I heard, you don't even have to start paying until a few years. They was giving prepaid cards for food. At first, they was just giving them free food and free hotels and shelter. In New York particular, like, they basically bought out a whole luxury hotel, and that was a shelter for immigrants. And they was giving them food, and a lot of the immigrants was like, no, we don't like this food. And they was throwing it away, wasting it. It was very ungrateful. So, New York City government decided, okay, well, we'll give you a prepaid card, and you could just, eat what you want. Whatever's around, you go eat. And granted, that didn't last too long, especially as the mayor, Eric Adams, was in a pickle, but it was initiated. And there's just so many things that immigrants in the U.S. can potentially receive, depending on where they go, what state, what city they go. I've heard no such thing, not even close, like I mentioned in Japan. Like, there are loopholes where particular groups can utilize. Like, for example, the Chinese. What a lot of them was doing, apparently, was I guess there's this business visa, and a lot of foreigners, mostly Chinese, were just living off a business visa. And the reason being is that you could just file that you're opening a business, but the required earnings that you had to provide was only of that of a single worker. Let's say about maybe $20,000, $25,000 a year. Minimum wage. So if you wanted to bring a family member, and I don't know the details of it, but from what I understand, you could just open up a business loan. Not a business loan, a business visa, and somehow you could attach a family member on there or yourself on there, and bam, you're living in Japan. Easy. Um, so there's little loopholes like that, which I do agree is a problem. That's definitely a problem. Like I said, I'm not really against Japan and immigrants taking advantage of the system. I'm not, because I see that happening back in the States, so I totally understand. But as I said, these are loopholes. These are not any benefits intentionally given to any immigrants, any foreigners, whatever you want to call it. And I lost my train of thought. And that's the problem. If you want to raise or hike up the visa fees, then you have to make Japan more attractive to foreigners, which Japan absolutely do not want to do. Now, here's the thing, here's the argument, or maybe here's the point per se. Maybe Japan is raising up the hikes. I said hiking up the wages. I'm saying hiking up the wages. Maybe Japan is hiking up the renewals and the fees of the visas because they don't really want foreigners in Japan. I mean, the new prime minister did kind of say something like that. If I remember correctly, she did say something of the sort that she rather Japan shrink than bring too many immigrants in and lose Japan, as at least she knows it. Which I could respect, because one of my things about Japan is it's like they're always flip-flopping. Okay, they want all these tourists and all these foreigners, the tourists to maintain the economy, the immigrants, so they could do these jobs that normal Japanese don't want to do, for whatever the case, whether it's too hard or not paying enough. But then when they see something that foreigners don't like, then they're complaining and like, we have all these rules and all this stuff, and if you can't adhere to all these rules, not even laws, just rules and customs, if you can't adhere to them, then you should go home and we don't need you, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's like, okay, which one is it? Do you want foreigners or do you not want foreigners? You can't just like be extremely picky or want your cake and eat it too. There has to be a sacrifice. So you have to make a choice. You can't just have everything. That's not how real life works. And I just think that's extremely naive. And I don't even, why should I even have to say naive? Because these are governments. I know the citizens is crying this out too, but these are governments trying to spill this out. Well, we know the truth about the government. Everything is kind of dropping in Japan, so they have to kind of blame it on someone other than Japanese, so to calm their people down. I understand that. That's cool, but still, the government at the end of the day is just stalling, and they have to make a choice. So I do respect Prime Minister Takaichi for making a stance, at least verbally. Whether they Whether she actually take action upon what she claims she's standing on, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah. But anyway, I digress. I also want to add this point, and no one really talks about this. Like I said before, there are many foreigners now working jobs that a lot of Japanese don't want to do. And I'm not just talking about like English teaching. I'm talking about working at konbinis. You don't know how often nowadays I see foreigners working in these konbinis. These factory jobs. If you go to, like, for example, Gaijin Pot or anything, you see constant mechanic jobs, factory jobs, all these hard labor jobs seeking foreigners on the regular. I see them all the time, non-stop. And who knows? Oh, also like elderly care. They're asking a lot of foreigners to do those types of jobs too. Yeah, there's like various jobs that Japan needs that Japanese people don't want to do. So if you raise the hike fee, why do I keep saying that? If you hike the visa fees, who's going to pay them? Is it going to be the foreign residents? Well, what if they can't pay them? Naturally, if they can't pay them, then they go bye-bye. They get deported. That company lose a worker. Okay, then. Does that mean that the company is going to cover for it? 4,000 yen per foreign worker? And then let's talk about the English jobs or the other companies that's importing foreign workers. So, especially the English jobs, because they go through English teachers like that. I know that for a fact. They're constantly going through English teachers. Majority of them stay a couple of months and be like, yeah, it's time to do something else. This isn't working for me. And they resign. So what now? The company needs to find another foreign worker outside of Japan and pay that 40,000 visa fee? Do you understand how much that will hit the company paying that much? I don't think people, especially those who haven't worked in like, for example, the English teaching, English conversation, English assistants, ALT, whatever it is, whether it be ALT or ACAI, whatever it may be. I don't think people really understand how quickly they go through English teachers, especially the ACAI. I don't think those companies want to deal with that. And I'm talking about the ACAI because I know them more well than other companies. But I'm pretty sure other companies is going to have to deal with similar situations where they might have to come to a decision where and this might be the positive side of this. They might have only two options. They might either decide to continue with low wages, stressful work, and all the other nonsense, which cause their workers to quit within a few months, and then they have to import new English teachers, or rather whatever work for whatever type of company it is, and pay that high visa fee, and then it's just rinse and repeat for however frequency they regularly go through their workers. So they either do that, or on the positive side, now, I don't know if this is gonna happen, but on the positive side, maybe these companies will invest in their workers. Maybe, just maybe, the workers went, well, I'm gonna take a hit either way, but paying this visa fee and renewal is a whole lot worse, or financial taxing on every new worker. So maybe I'll just pay my existing workers who seem to be doing fine now. They're used to their job and doing pretty decent. Some are even doing great. Maybe I'll pay them more. Give them a reason to stay. You know, maybe adding some benefits. Hey, maybe they'll even make you a full-time worker, because a lot of these jobs, especially English teacher jobs, are contractual. So hey, maybe they'll make you a full-time worker with full benefits. Who knows? Because we also have to take this in perspective. I don't think the companies trying to attract workers overseas are going to try to make potential employees pay for that visa fee. I mean, the first question is how? I mean, let's put this in perspective. I'm pretty sure that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, because I came to Japan much differently than most. But let's say that the company is recruiting English workers, right? And they have their interview, and the company contacts that person back and say, hey, congratulations, you're hired. Well, first thing we need to do is we need to process you a visa, and it's gonna cost, let's say, I guess maybe in US dollars, $250, around $250. So you need to somehow send $250 to me so I could process your visa fee, and you're all set. You could be in Japan, and of course we're going to be paying you, and so on and so forth. And of course, when we do renewals, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay to renew your visa fees, and so on and so forth. Well, is that going to be as attractive? Are people going to agree with that? Let's be real. More and more people are more knowledgeable on what's going on in Japan. It's not like 10, 20 years ago where a large chunk of people had this fantasy about Japan. Yes, a lot of people still do have this fantasy about Japan, but people are waking up to the reality of what Japan really is. Not to say whether what it really is now is a good or bad thing, but it's not a perfect country where everything just goes the way you expect it to be. So I'm just not sure if people are going to pay that, especially if you live in third world countries. If you live in third world countries, they may not be able to afford that. So now you lose out on a lot of third worlders, and let's be honest, it's way more third worlders trying to get in Japan than first worlders. Let's not get that twisted. Americans, English people, Australians even, they're not as thirsty. As much of a weeaboo they might be, they're not as thirsty to live in Japan. Right? So that's one problem. The other problem, which I had to think about, is what stops people from pretending that they are Japanese companies seeking foreign employees to scam a supposed visa fee of $200, $300 or more off them. This sounds like an opportunity for scammers to come in and just take easy money. Because like I said, there's still people who might be willing to pay that fee to live in Japan because they dream so much of doing so. So who's going to stop scammers from targeting those vulnerable people? And if there are too many scammers that are successfully stealing from these vulnerable people, who is going to take the blame? Or who is the blame going to be laid on? If you ask me, it's Japanese. Don't matter where they're from. I don't care if it's Indians doing it. I don't care if it's Africans doing it, or any other Asian country doing it. It doesn't matter, because Japan opened this situation up. And on top of that, this is not to say Japan, or rather Japanese scammers, won't be taking advantage of this. They're more inclined to, because most people can somewhat understand, like, for example, if the thing is that if you're gonna scam, and to be more convincing, some people is gonna want to hear your voice or to do a video chat in which someone from another country, like, they can't really pull that off, not with their accent and their facial features, right? So Japanese scammers have the best opportunity, right? So that's another thing to think about. So here's the thing. What do I think about this? The question is, do I really think that the government will hike up the Visa Pay or renewals? Because who knows? Some could argue that they're bluffing. Some could argue that, the government just put this out as a little stress test to see how far they could go. And then if there's too much outroar, then they'll just pull it back. Maybe lower it. Make it about, what? 150,000, 200,000. Which is still a lot, but not as much. Maybe that could happen. I think there is a good chance that they will do the 300, 400,000 yen hike up fee. And I think that there is a small chance of it being lessened a bit. I think there's almost a 0% chance of the visa fees remaining the same. And mind you, I don't think I said that. This is supposed to be something that's implemented within next year. So if you decide on something and saying it's going to be something within next year, it's kind of telling that they're definitely going to raise it up again. So to me, the question is only how high are they going to raise it? And that's my view on it. Alright, well, we're going to end it right here. I hope this was, interesting. I hope it was, something that could, boggle your mind, make you think about. So, we're going to end it there. Everyone, it's been a pleasure. This is T-Adept. Give you another video. Everyone take care. Peace.